give us just a little synopsis of the Special Olympic Botswana. I believe that Botswana watching out there will want to learn, will want to know more about you as an organization.
I actually was listening very tightly to that budget speech. I was just like, let me hear what the minister has to say about people living with disabilities, and I didn't hear much.
How are other countries integrating their own sporting men and women into the society and all that?
As an individual, if I go to the powers that be and advocate, my voice isn't heard if we come together as people living with disabilities and advocate for ourselves. I think that will really work well.
People living with disabilities are phenomenal and outstanding. Support them, appreciate them, and love them. Welcome to your best program. I am Differently Abled, a show that unravels issues of people living with disabilities. You are with your best presenter, myself, Prince Musharakwale, aka Prince Legend. Remember that with the show, we are unraveling issues of people living with disabilities and giving them hope and giving them joy and giving them purpose. This afternoon, we will be talking more about Special Olympics Botswana. My fellow audience, sit down wherever you are and learn and be encouraged, also be entertained. I welcome you to the best program in the land, the best disability program. Can you please introduce yourself to my beautiful viewer out there?
My name is Sharon Reakae, and I am from Special Olympics Botswana, which is a sporting organization for people with intellectual disabilities, and I'm a program coordinator there. Thank you so much for having me, Prince.
Can you give us just a little synopsis of the Special Olympic Botswana? I believe that Botswana watching out there will want to learn, will want to know more about you as an organization. He will want to know when did it start and how can he or she be part of it. So just give us a synopsis of it.
Okay, yes. So Special Olympics started in the United States in 1963 by Eunice Shriver. She had an intellectual disabilities and her family supported her with starting the organization. And then in Botswana, it started in 1989. So we've been here for quite a while. We have different programs. I'll start with the health program where we have like dentistry, special smiles, where we have a doctor come in and screen our athletes for free. Usually we do this at schools. We have our fun fitness, which is physiotherapy, opening eyes, which is eye health. So all the health disciplines so that our athletes are very healthy before they go and compete. So that's our health programming. And then we also have what we call athlete leadership. In this one, we help our athletes to gain confidence. We give them life skills. And mostly we see that our female athletes tend to have lower confidence. So it really, that program really boosts their confidence and helps with peer education. Yeah, and then we also have a program called Young Athlete. So this is our non-competing athletes from the ages of 0 to 7. So we mostly find these athletes in preschools and crashes. So we go there and do some activities with them so that we can see if there are any challenges with their mobility and coordination so that we can help them identify any issues so that there is early intervention. So in a nutshell, those are some of the programs that we do.
Wow.
Yes.
That is very, very beautiful.
Yeah.
And I'm trusting that the audience is learning a lot out there. I heard you emphasizing the point of intellectual disability. And I believe there is a Motswana out there maybe who say, but mine is not intellectual disability. Or maybe it's somebody who just want to lend a helping hand or just be part of the organization. Do you only include people with intellectual disability, or anyone can be part of it?
So in terms of athletes being part of the movement, it is only athletes with intellectual disabilities. So I'll give you some examples: Down syndrome, autism, dyslexia, people who are on the spectrum, so that kind of disability. So mostly our athletes do not have physical disabilities. Those are athletes who register with Paralympics Association in Botswana, right? But anyone can be part of the movement in terms of volunteering. There are a lot of opportunities to help our athletes in the different programs that we have. So no one is excluded.
Wow, wow.
Yeah.
That's very beautiful. I really believe that people living with disabilities, they have a very special gift in them. So I would like to understand something. Is this it's a non-governmental organization? Have you been getting enough help from people and support? Because I understand that most issues of disability, they cannot thrive without the proper support. What is the support that you are getting, and where do you think it can be improved?
Yeah.
Yes.
So thank you for that question, Prince. We get a lot of support from government and also internationally. So the Special Olympics International, we get some of our programmatic funding from there. I was talking about our health program. So we get a chunk of our funding from the Special Olympics International. And then obviously there are other organizations that help us, like your Lions Club International. I don't know if you've heard of that. It funds most of our health program here, Opening Eyes. So our athletes can be screened for their eye health. And then but the Botswana National Sports Association, we are affiliated to them. And so every year we get some funding from them. So government is really doing a lot in terms of that. Obviously, we need more. More can be done. And so, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would like to ask about the question of acceptance. Like, how do you integrate the issue of acceptance? Because I want to believe that if somebody is in sport and is able to share his or her talent, it's because he or she have accepted his or her disability. So as a Special Olympic Botswana, how do you integrate the aspect of self-acceptance in the sporting stars that are part of the organization?
Yeah. That's a very good question, Prince.
Yes.
So with that, we have a program called Family Health Forums.
Okay.
So in those forums, they're like informal family meetings. So we bring together caregivers, teachers, coaches, professionals to come together and just have conversations like we're having one right now. And then that is how acceptance begins. We don't need to use the language and say accept. It's a very long process from when a parent discovers that their child has an intellectual disability throughout their life. So we have all of those programs to support the athletes. Family is very, very important in Special Olympics. We have a siblings program where siblings can also support the athlete. So as you know, that charity begins at home. When acceptance is there at home, when they get into society, when they go to school, when they go and compete with other athletes, it becomes easy. I think for us, the issue that we're having now is inclusion within society to unify people living with disabilities and those that are living without disabilities. I think that is where most of the challenges are. Yeah.
There are some people who believe that some of these organizations it's like they seclude people with disabilities from the general public. So I want you to touch on the part where everybody can be part of it. Because many people, they think when you are in this organization, you are secluded from it. And I will want you to touch the point of integrating them now into the society. How do you do it in the Special Olympics Botswana?
Very good question.
Yeah.
So what we do with that, we have a program called Unified Sports. So, and we also had the Unified Sports team go compete in the international stage. So Unified Sports is where we have individuals with intellectual disabilities and those without play together and form a team.
Yeah.
For example, when we went to the World Games in 2023 in Berlin, we had a volleyball team of athletes who had an intellectual disabilities and those without, and they competed. So sports is a very powerful tool in unification, and that is one of the programs that we do. Yeah, so that people are aware that people living with disabilities are not different from those living without. So that is one of the programs that we have, and we have seen it work wonderfully.
Wow. Wow, thank you so much. To my fellow audience, I believe now you can see that people living with disabilities are differently abled, and they are competent, and they can achieve extraordinary things. My plea to you is support them, love them, and appreciate them. We are taking a break, and then we are coming back to continue with our session. Stay there with your soft drink, stay there with your tea, stay there with your water, and take a pen and a paper and learn some things. Thank you. Stay tuned for more. Welcome back to your favorite show. I am differently abled. You are still with me, Prince Legend, and we are still sharing issues that deals with people living with disabilities together with their caregivers. I'm still with my standing guest here, Sharon, who is still sharing with us about the Special Olympics Botswana. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yes. I would like to raise this issue. Last week we were having a budget speech. It's a speech that encounters the nation at large. What is your perception on it when it comes to the inclusion of people living with disabilities, especially sporting code?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I actually was listening very tightly to that budget speech. I was just like, let me hear what the minister has to say about people living with disabilities, and I didn't hear much. So it was kind of a disappointment in that aspect. But what I would like to point out is that I think it's very important for transportation, housing. Those are very important and basic human rights for people with disabilities. And I think that government needs to look into that and seeing into the infrastructure of housing and transport for people with disabilities. That is my takeaway from the budget speech.
Because so many people, I would like to hear your perception. So many people, they are saying our inclusion as people living with disabilities in the political landscape, it's quite limited. So I also want to hear what is your take on that. Do you think that somehow we lack people who are living with disabilities to advocate for us on these issues? Yeah.
My take on that is that I think it's very important for families to come together of individuals who are living with disabilities so that they can lobby and advocate. As an individual, if I go to the powers that be and advocate, my voice isn't heard if we come together as people living with disabilities and advocate for ourselves. I think that will really work well. And that is what we do through our family health forums. We really encourage parents to form sports clubs, an athletics club, a soccer club, so they can register with us and their athletes can compete. So that's one way into grouping yourself and then going to the relevant bodies for lobbying and asking to be included. And I'd also say to people living with disabilities, read into the laws and acts and policies for people living with disabilities so that you know what your rights are and that you are clued up in the kind of services that you can be offered according to the laws and policies in Botswana. Yeah,
that's very incredible. You are an organization that deals with sporting codes.
Yeah.
So I would like to understand how have been the competitions of different sporting codes in your organization. How have been the sporting stars, men of warring to become who they are today? Have they been to international sports? And if so, their achievements?
Yeah. So what happens is that most of our athletes are recruited in schools, so special education schools. I think there are about 75 across Botswana.
Yeah.
And so we start there with our training and our coaching, and then they compete at regional levels, at national levels, and then usually at the national levels, they are selected to go and compete at the international level. In 2023, we went to Berlin.
Wow.
And we came back with medals.
Wow.
There's a sporting called bocce. I know it's not that famous in Botswana, but it's an Italian sport. It's like bowling, but it's outdoor.
Wow.
So we had a lady called Onalethata Oning. She came back with gold.
Wow.
And she also won Disability Woman of the Year, Sports Disability Woman of the Year, BMSC Sports Awards last year.
Wow.
And then we have Loago, who also won athletics. I think he ran 100 meters at the games.
Wow.
We also went with a unified volleyball team last year in 2023, who also came second place.
Wow.
So we've really done well in terms of representing Botswana internationally.
Wow.
Yes.
That's so incredible. I'm so inspired, and I believe that Botswana out there is more even inspired more than I. He's watching and he's learning a lot.
Yeah.
So in the competitions, you were mingling with different countries, right? So I want to understand what do you see that is different from those countries? Why can it be improved? Because you find that other countries are so advanced when it comes to integration of people living with disabilities. So where do you think it can be improved? How are other countries integrating their own sporting men and women into the society and all that?
Yeah, I think for me the big thing, especially with disability sport, is seeing support of family. How families come in big numbers at the international games and support their athletes.
Wow.
I think that can be so much improved. It would be so great to go to the next World Games and see all the parents of the athletes or their caregivers and families and their siblings and friends coming to see their athletes compete on a world stage. I think that's one thing that stood out for me. Notwithstanding, we are aware that there are better facilities and all of that, but we make do with what we have. We are very good at making do with what we have. And so seeing the support and family and the families there is one thing that really blew me away, and I think that we could do better as parents and families.
You spoke about parents and families. I will want to go back to it a little bit. How do you think the family structure in Botswana, especially of people living with disabilities, are they supporting their athletes enough? Are they supporting their superstars enough? Yes.
There's a lot of work that needs to be done there. I think with parents, the important thing is knowing that when your child competes or is part of the national team or whatever the case may be, it's important for you to be there all the way, and not sort of like dump your children there and say, you are relieving us. Can you please help us? But if you are part of all the processes in which your child can compete at the highest level, it becomes easier for us logistic-wise and seeing that the well-being of the athlete and your child is well, you know. And so I think it would be great to see more support, and then in that the work becomes easier for both us and the parents. Yeah.
Wow, thank you so much. I will come back. My beautiful audience out there, I am so inspired. I am so inspired, and I believe that you are also inspired. We can see that people with disabilities are the most amazing people, and there are people with unique and beautiful talents. They just need your support. So stay there, continue sipping your tea, continue sipping your drink, continue sipping your water. We are going for a break for a very short time. We are coming back. Stay tuned for more. Welcome back, my beautiful audience, to your favorite disability show in the land of Botswana. I am differently abled. We are still here with Special Olympics Botswana, learning more and getting encouraged and being more inspired. I'm still with my stunning guest, Sharon, and she will be sharing with us few things before we wrap everything up. Welcome back to the show, Ma.
Thank you, Prince.
Yes. I believe there are other competitions that are coming.
Yes.
How are you preparing, and when are they coming up, and how are you preparing the athletes for what is coming? Because we need another gold from you.
Right.
Yes.
So we have games coming up, Africa Games in Region 5 in Namibia, Windhoek. That is supposed to happen in July this year. And so we are preparing. We have already selected our team. They went to training and selection camp in February. So that's something that we're getting ready for. And I'd like to mention that that's our inaugural event. So it's our first time competing in the Africa Games. And so that's a big feat. We can't wait to see what our athletes will do. So they will be competing in athletics.
Wow.
And then we also have another game, soccer tournament in South Africa in Limpopo in October. So we are getting our soccer teams ready to go and compete. And then international wise, we have the World Games happening in South America in 2027. So we are also preparing our athletes for that.
Okay. Yeah. How do you, because there are different aspects. I would like you to just shortly just talk to us the process of how you prepare them, because there is a psychological, mental, physical aspects to any athlete. So how do you ensure that you mingle all of those?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a very good question.
Yes.
So we have a program called Global Health Messenger. We've had an athlete represent us in the global stage in that. So Health Messenger teaches their peers on mental health, on physical health, on nutrition, on leadership. So those are some of the programs that we have in preparing them mentally and showing them that they are able to compete.
Wow.
So we do that throughout the year. And then we also have our fitness programming. We call them Fit 5, where they exercise in the morning and they go through a fitness plan, an 8 weeks fitness plan. There are different types. You know, there are others that are unified, where, for instance, a school can join together with the special education unit and go through that fitness plan. We also have a health program called Strong Minds, where we have a psychologist come in and help the athletes prepare. So we have robust programs in Special Olympics that really support the whole well-being of the athlete.
Okay. I want you to just give us a synopsis of an overall achievement in the previous Olympics. Just the overall synopsis of how things were. And yeah, you mentioned of the gold part, which is my favorite part, but I believe there are other more moments that you shared. Can you kindly just give us a synopsis of the overall of what happened in the previous athletics competitions?
Okay. Apart from the all the medals that we came back home with, our athletes got to experience joy. They got to travel. They got to make friends.
Wow.
They got to meet family and see that they are capable. I think that's such a great achievement coming home, knowing that the world is yours. It doesn't matter if you have a disability or not. So that for me was my favorite part, seeing our athletes experience joy. And that is one of the things that we really please ourselves with at Special Olympics. We want individuals to experience joy, happiness, make friends.
What is your word of encouragement to a parent, to a person living with disabilities who is inspired to be part of Special Olympics Botswana, or not only Special Olympics, he want to venture into sports, or he want to venture into businesses, anything that can become an encouraging factor to him or her? What do you have to tell him or her?
I want to say to an athlete out there that the world is yours. And that whatever ability that you have in sports, join us. Our offices are open. We're at the National Stadium, at the affiliate offices. Find us there, come and register with us, and change your life for the better. And to the parents, I'd like to say, bring your children out. Do not hide them. They have so much potential, and they can bring so much wealth back into the country through our stories, through our achievements, and through sports. Thank you.
Can you just, the last question, can you just talk to the parents out there? You know, there are still some parents who are struggling with things of acceptance. We will be wanting to push people living with disabilities to join different sporting codes or to exude their talents, but somehow their parents haven't really accepted fully about their disability. What can you say just in 1 minute?
What I can say is that there are so many opportunities out there. Sometimes we look for handouts, and there's the power of the internet. Just Google and say, what is the condition of my child? What are associations out there that can help my child? You know, and join a club. Advocate for yourself, group yourself as parents, find others, go out there. You know, I know that grieving is a process, acceptance is a process, but open up after you've gone through all the necessary help that you've gone through, whether it starts at the doctor's office, at the psychologist's office, at the therapy session, and then now look for opportunities out there because they are there for your child.
Okay, last question. I heard you talking about primaries and secondaries from the government, but I also remembered that there are some rehabilitation centers for people living with disabilities. Those ones, are you also working with them to exude the talents of people living with disabilities, or you are just taking the part on government schools?
So we also work with rehabilitation centers. By the way, the team that we're taking to Region 5 in Namibia in July, they are all from Tsolofelo Rehabilitation Center in Muchudi. So that is out of school, because we know that in the special education schools, when they reach a certain age, they get out of the special education unit. So our approach and strategy this year is to reach more out of school athletes. So yeah, we do work with all organizations and institutions that house athletes with intellectual disabilities.
Okay. Yes. Thank you so much for your coming.
Thank you.
I believe that the viewer out there is inspired as well as I'm inspired. Continue to do the great job that you are doing. Continue to rally behind us as a Special Olympics Botswana. The support is immense. We are truly, truly grateful.
Thank you for having me, Prince.
Yes, thank you. My fellow audience, I believe you have learned. I believe you're encouraged. I believe you're inspired. But like I always say, people living with disabilities are phenomenal and outstanding. support them, appreciate them, and love them. Where you don't understand, ask, so that we become a team in the upbringing of that child or of that sporting star that want to come out. You're with me, your best presenter, Prince Legend, in a show of I'm Differently Abled. And as we are wrapping up, stay tuned for more editions to learn more about issues of people living with disabilities. Thank you so much and see you in the next edition.